Hi guys, James at RampantLionReviews again for you today. For this one, we are going to do another out and about video for you. So today, I'm back in Gdańsk on my way home to Sweden, and I thought I would stop off and have a look at the third and final of the three brew pubs here in the city. So the one we're going to have a look at today is just behind me. This is Broward PG4, if I've pronounced that correctly. Probably not, because as you've seen in this little Polish mini-series, Polish is almost impossible if you don't grow up with it. But yeah, from the little glimpse I've had of this place so far, it looks pretty cool. So this place is right next to Gdańsk, the central station in Gdańsk, and yeah, it is in a pretty nice location, I have to say. So we'll do as we always do. We'll go in, we'll have a look around, we'll try some of the food, and we'll try some of the beers. So I hope you guys enjoy another out and about video today. I'm very curious to see what this one is going to have in store for us, because I've enjoyed doing these videos so far that we've done in Poland. So catch you guys in just a second. Alright guys, so just a little perspective shot to let you see where this is. We're actually around the back of the building here, because this brewery is kind of in the basement of this lovely big hotel, which is called the Central Hotel. And Gdańsk is right over there, the central station, and then the old town is kind of that way. So yeah, they're doing a lot of construction work out the front of the central station just now. But yeah, we'll go in and we'll have a little look. So we'll probably cut this together, but you can see as soon as you walk up, you're greeted by these two lovely copper-cladded brew kettles. But yeah, we'll have a wee walk around when I get inside and I've got a table and stuff like that. So yeah guys, let's go in and just have a little walk around. So you see this door opens very slowly, there you go. But yeah, as soon as you come in, you're greeted with these lovely copper boiling kettles and things like that. Just go together very nice, and it tells you go this way for beer. So that's exactly what you do. And yeah, when you come in, you can see this place is really nice, like very kind of old school, but at the same time like a very new take on the old school kind of thing. So yeah, you've got your man waiting here to greet you. And then yeah, when you come through here, you can see the nice bar, a few tanks and stuff behind there, which is kind of cool. But yeah, like I say, this place is really very nice. I'm here at about 3 o'clock, which is just after they open. You know, I like coming to these places when it's quite quiet and it's not insane when you want to film. But like I say, very, very nice old school place. Yeah, and the actual brewery looks as if it's up the back here. You can see here actually, here are the different sizes of things you can order. But yeah, they've also got a periodic table of beer sizes, which is very, very nice. And then yeah, if you come back here, I'm not going to wander too far because I don't know how far you're allowed to go. Here you can see they've got a couple of fermentation tanks. These look as if they're about 2,000 litres maybe. They've got 4 of them. They've got a few kind of smaller ones in there, and there you can see the kind of pump station and stuff like that, which is kind of cool. A few more little tanks around here. But yeah, you can see here they are advertising this beer called the Danziger Jopen beer, which is a bit of a beast from what I've seen. So we will need to have a little look at that later. But yeah, like I say, this place is really nice. They've got a bunch of old photos from Gdańsk and things like this as well. Just a lot of old school things. This must be, I don't know if this is some old brewery from Gdańsk, definitely an old brewery of some description. And again, you can see the language is in German, like I said. As you may know, Gdańsk was formerly the German city of Gdańsk, and then the free city of Gdańsk after Danzig after the First World War. I kind of set up here to film, so I've tasted my first beer already. You'll probably be seeing that before this little segment though. But yeah, you can see here we have this nice little thing you can see. So while this brew kit does look pretty old, from the front it is actually pretty damn modern. So here you can see this is obviously the mash tun in here, and the other one will maybe be the boiling kettle. So yeah, looks pretty cool. But yeah, I love this big kind of glass front that they have. But yeah, I guess we need to get on to the second beer, or finish off this one, then get on to the second beer. So you'll see more coming up in just a second. Alright guys, well, time for our first tasting in here at Broward PG4. Again, probably pronouncing that wrong, so apologies for bad Polish pronunciations in this video going forward. But yeah, for this one, we are going to have a look at the lightest beer as far as I can see. So this one is the Gdańsk. So the old Gdańsk, I guess it would be, or the old Gdańskian, something like this, basically, the old Gdańsk lager. So yeah, this one comes in at 5.2% ABV, and yeah, I went for a 0.3 with this one. I'm going to try a few beers, so 0.3 always works. But you can see this beer poured with a finger of a frothy, I would say kind of cream coloured head. That has faded away a little bit since the beer was dropped off. I was getting the camera set up and things. But you can see that for a lager beer, this one actually has a lovely kind of amber colour to it. It's a little bit more along the lines of kind of maybe like a Märzen or a Czech Letsak, something like that. So just a little bit more of a slightly amber lager. One or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom of the head there. But overall, it does look very, very nice, I have to say. And you can see the beer does have a little bit of a kind of natural haze to it. It looks very, very good. So yeah, let's have a wee look at this one then and see what the nose is like. I have to say, I do like the glass as well. You can see Broward PG4. I'll need to ask them exactly what that refers to with the name. And they've also got this slogan on the back here, Pivo to Życie, or is that maybe just like beer is life or something like that, or beer for life it might be? Just guessing, but could be right, you never know. But let's have a wee look at the aroma of this one. Ooh, that does smell very nice actually. Yeah, this smells like a good old, like it smells kind of like a Helles, but also a little bit more like a kind of, it has got a little bit of Märzen sweetness to it, but mainly like a Helles, I would say. Aroma on this one is pretty damn nice, I have to say. Yeah, I mean, I love these kind of German smelling lagers. That's what I would say about this one. I've been talking about this in the out and about videos we've done so far in Poland, that some of the lagers have a little bit more German character, some of them have a bit more Czech character, some of them have something in between. That's the kind of thing that happens when you're a bit next to two very well-known beer-producing countries, and of course, historically, Pomerania, where we are just now, Pomorskie, as they call it in Polish, this was part of Germany back in the day. But yeah, aroma-wise, this is lovely. As I say, like a very bready kind of Munich-type lager in the aroma. A little bit of white bread crust in there. Soft, fluffy white bread. There is maybe a little touch of a sweeter, like kind of wholemeal brown bready character as well. Yeah, there's definitely a little bit of a kind of biscuity note to this one, like a little bit of McVitie's digestive biscuity character. I don't know if I would go as far as saying straight up caramel. But yeah, the way this beer goes together, I think, is really very, very nice. Yeah, the more you smell this beer, you get a little touch of an almost honey note out of it, quite a bit of biscuit for me, the white bread, a little bit of sweeter brown bread, and a wee bit of bread crust. It's almost got a very slightly woody note to it as well, I have to say. But yeah, aroma-wise, this is very, very nice. Yeah, I like this one. It gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, I think that goes together very, very well. On the hoppy side of things, it's kind of what you'd expect. There's a little bit of light earthiness, there's a little bit of herbal character. You've got some nice floral aromaticity in there, a good little bit of grassiness as well, actually. And then you've also got a nice little touch of yeah, I think the green component for me is actually quite, you know, Hallertau or Tettnanger like, but again, they might be using Polish hops in this because there are quite a number of them these days. But yeah, for me, this one smells a little bit more along the lines of Hallertau or Tettnanger or something like that. But yeah, very, very nice. On the fruity side of things, it's got a little bit of that sultana type note to it, a little bit of a kind of oily pear. I think it goes together really quite well. aroma-wise, it is quite nice in that sense. Yeah, I like the aroma of this one, I have to say. Nothing surprising about it. Like I say, a slightly sweeter. To me, it smells quite like a Helles, but a bit more body to it and a bit more kind of sweetness. So it's not quite as sweet as a Märzen, but it's getting there, I think. But yeah, lovely aroma to this one. I think the thing to do now is to try this one. So yeah, this one is the PG4 Staro Gdański, Old Gdańsk Lager, I guess we could say. So yeah, or Old Town, would it be? Old Town Gdańsk Lager. Sláinte, skål, cheers, na zdrowie. Yeah, I have to say that is nice. On the first taste, I do regret not getting the half litre now, but there are quite a few beers we need to try. So even though I regret it, probably was a good idea to get the 0.3. But that's a very nice lager. First impression of it, lovely, big and smooth and bready. A little bit of sweetness in there. Then you've got the kind of noble character to it. Nothing kind of surprising, but it is just nicely done, and you can't ask for much more than that. Is good. So yeah, for me the bready character on this one is really, really nice. I mean, middle of your palate, yeah, fresh white bready bread crust. This is one of these beers that kind of gives you exactly what you expect from the aroma. It tastes exactly as it smells, I guess you could say. So yeah, you've got a lovely little bit of kind of fresh white bready bread crust in this one. That's the backbone of the beer. There's a little bit of woodiness, maybe a little touch of crackeriness there toward the front of that middle third of your palate. Then above that, you get a lovely layer of a fluffy and quite slightly sweet kind of brown wholemeal type bread. Then you've got the white bread above that, which is great. Yeah, you've got the white bread above that. And then above that you start to get some of the sweetness out of the beer. So in the middle of your tongue you've got this little circle there, and it does have a very slightly leathery kind of brown sugary note to it. And in the dead centre of your palate, it definitely has a little bit of caramel. I mean, from the colour of the beer, you would kind of expect that it had a little bit of caramel. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on the type of malts that you use, and the kind of sweeter malts tend to give the beer these more dark amber colours. So definitely a little bit of sweet caramel in the middle of the palate there. As you move further out from it, you get a little bit more, pardon me, you do get a little touch more, as you say, there's a little touch more of a kind of McVitie's digestive biscuity note, and all that sits on top of the bread. The back third of the palate is quite similar. You've got the fresh bread crust underneath, you've got the brown bready layer, which is a bit taller and a bit more airy. The white bready layer sits above that. And then yeah, you've got a few kind of yeasty notes sitting on top of that too. It's like a more kind of airy, farmhousey type bread there. But as I always say, on the back third of your palate, the flavour feels taller, and as you come further forward, it just condenses down and squashes together a little bit more. So yeah, the way that the malty side of this beer goes together is very nice. On the hoppy side of things, back corners of the palate, you've got a little touch of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, it's a little bit herbal, and then you start to get some more, a little bit more kind of floral aromaticity out of the beer as well, which I think is really nice. Around the front curve of the palate, it's a little bit lighter and more, it has got a little bit of a lighter grassy character to it. So yeah, a little bit of a lighter kind of grassy character to this one, which is great. And yeah, typical, for me it's quite smooth but quite bright, so I do think German noble hops in this one. Earthy, herbal, a little bit floral and grassy, but very smooth green component. Front third of your palate is kind of as you'd expect, a little bit of bread crust underneath, wee touch of brown bread, then you've got that nice oily bubble just where the fruity esters roll their way out of the beer, and again, that's very nice for me, I do like that. So yeah, the way this beer goes together is actually very, very nice in that sense. The fruity side of the beer, a little bit of sultana at the back of that front third of your palate. As you move further forward, it's got a little bit more of a kind of oily pear sort of thing to it. And then as you move further forward, you get a little touch of like a kind of slightly gooseberry-ish type note, and then maybe a teeny little hint of lime or something like that. But for me, this beer is quite sultana-y, you know, dry white green grapes, quite kind of oily and peary. And yeah, just a little touch of a kind of limey note mixing in with the grassy esters. So yeah, the way this beer goes together, I think, is really nice in that sense. So on the for me, on the mouthfeel side of things, brain not working. On the mouthfeel side of things, this is kind of top end of light-bodied, bottom end of mid-bodied for me. It's one of the heavier kind of light lagers, if we can call it that. Nice oily mouthfeel, smooth carbonation, good balance between smoothness and sweetness in the malt base. Not too much in the way of IBU, 15 to 20 in my opinion. And then yeah, you've got a lovely little bit of oily fruity character to this one. But yeah, this was a very nice place to start actually. The Staro Gdański lager, 5.2% ABV. I like how this one goes together. So first beer here at PG4 gets a thumbs up from me. So yeah, let's leave it at that for this one. We have got a few other beers that we're going to try going forward. We're going to do a few tastings here actually, because they have got a few styles that I think I will quite like. Catch you guys in a second with the next review. Cheers. Alright guys, well, let's have a little look at the menu here then at Browar PG4. So yeah, as you can see, they've got this lovely bit of art on the front of this one, the kind of outline of the city, or the skyline I guess we should say. But yeah, quite a few interesting things on the menu here. I'll need to get a recommendation for trying something later. But yeah, these are a few things to match with the beer, just a few kind of beer snacks and things. Chunky chips with sauces, a hot pretzel and sea salt. Might get one of those actually, I do enjoy a good pretzel. But deep fried hot pardon peppers as well, chicken wings marinated in honey. Sounds quite interesting. Remember when you're talking about prices incidentally, that it is about 5 zlotys per euro. So yeah, the first one's about just a little over €5, we can say that. But then yeah, down here they've got a few appetizers, pan-fried prawn with garlic, beef tartare with pickled mushrooms and cucumber, potato pancakes with Baltic herring and sour cream. Yeah, the fish doesn't really sound so appealing to me actually, cannot eat fish. Yeah, up here though, you've got a few different things. A few cakes and stuff like this. So Black Forest creme fraiche. Oh no, this isn't cakes, telling you lies. So yeah, the Black Forest creme fraiche, Black Forest ham, cherry tomatoes and arugula. The next one, the Leshny, the Forest creme fraiche chanterelles with onion, alachki. Yeah. Some of these actually look kind of quite interesting. I guess this is maybe, yeah, different tarts and stuff. We need to ask a little bit more about that. Yeah, you can get some food pairing options and things like this. You can ask your waiter here for that. Yeah, a few soups. The sourdough soup with white sausage and boiled egg. We've had this before at one of the other breweries in Gdańsk, and it was very, very nice actually. So this seems to be a little bit of a local thing up here. A few salads and stuff like this as well. Salad with goat cheese and raspberry vinaigrette sauce. The Caesar salad with chicken. And yeah, then you come over here to the big things, the meat and fish. So yeah, you can get a beef burger here, a Viennese style schnitzel with pork tenderloin, traditional ribs and barbecue sauce, a brewer's knuckle with roasted potatoes and fried cabbage, a ribeye steak, confit duck leg, baked halibut, beer battered cod, penne pasta with chicken, and some meat dumplings with venison and chanterelle sauce. They sound quite interesting actually. I've not had meat dumplings since I've been here in Poland this time, so I might need to look at that. But yeah, for most of these things you're looking between about 8-9 euros to 12 euros for these different main courses. But yeah, on the back of the menu, of course, you've got some veggie options in here. A veggie burger, potato pancakes, yeah, pita bread, stuff like this, gnocchi and tomato. Tomato soup with a cloud of cream for the kids, crunchy chicken fingers, and a few desserts and stuff like this. Ruby apple pie and meringue with coffee cream, and then it tells you the opening hours down here. So yeah, don't reflect on that too much. That might change in the time since I filmed this video. But yeah, quite a nice little menu here. I need to have a wee think about what I want here, but there you can get a nice little close-up of the brewery symbol. There you are. Alright guys, well, time for tasting number 2 then, and this is one that I'm very, very curious about. So this is the Tafelbier, or table beer I guess you would say. So yeah, this one comes in at 4.8% ABV, and they're saying that this one is an old Gdańsk style. So yeah, I have to say it looks pretty nice. The my waiter was telling me that it's kind of like a pale ale. It's a little bit more hoppy in a sense than the Staro Gdański that we tried already was. So yeah, for me, this beer does look very, very nice. I like the more kind of malty things like this, as I'm sure you well know. But yeah, we can see when this beer poured, it actually was right up to the top of the glass with head, so there's about a finger and a half of a frothy, I would say kind of cream or ivory coloured head there, and you can see that this beer has this lovely kind of rich amber colour. It almost looks a little bit like a kind of West Coast or West Coast double IPA. It kind of looks like this a little bit. So yeah. Remember, the colour of your beer depends on the type of malts that you use. The length of your wort boil is also going to affect it as well, because the longer you caramelise the sugars, the darker your beer is going to be. So yeah, it looks pretty nice, this one, but 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom of the head there, but overall it does look pretty damn nice. Yeah, I think this looks good. You can see the head has just faded away a good little bit there, but yeah, a little bit of natural haze to this one. It looks very, very nice. So yeah, let's have a wee look at the aroma of this one then and see what it's going to have in store for us. This looks quite nice. Oh yeah. So this one is definitely, it's got the same kind of bready vibe that we had from the Staro Gdański, but this one has definitely got a little bit more kind of brown bready character to it, which you kind of expect with the malty side of things. But at the same time, it has got a little bit more hoppiness to it as well. But yeah, that's interesting. So for me, a lot more brown bready character in this one. The backbone of the beer is absolutely like a kind of fresh, wholemeal brown bready character. There's a lot of fluffier white bread on top of that. Definitely getting some kind of white bready notes sitting on top of this one too, which I have to say I really do quite like. And yeah, aroma-wise, I think this is really quite nice in that sense. Yeah, so fresh brown bread crust, fluffy wholemeal brown bread on top of that. A little touch of white bread in there as well, but not quite as much. There's a few crackery and woody aromas in there. And I'm also getting a little bit of a slightly more toasty brown sugar in this one. But it's like it has got a light bit of biscuit, so I mix a toastier brown sugar and a little bit of biscuit in the malt base there. But yeah, certainly does smell quite different. Really, compared to the Staro Gdański, this one is a lot more kind of brown bready and slightly more grainy and stuff like that. But yeah, the hoppy character though is quite similar. You've got a little bit of earthiness, you've got a little bit of herbal character as well, and it's very smooth in its green component. There's a little bit of floral note in there, but for me, the most prominent component of the green side of things in this beer is the grassy side. The beer does have a little bit of a lighter grassy and more zesty character to it. I have to say I do like that about this one, so that gets a thumbs up from me as well. So yeah, I like this. I have to say I do like how this goes together. The green component is nice, the malty base is nice, the fruity side of things. Yeah, fruity side of the beer, it's got a little bit of yeah, it has a little bit of a kind of floral, it's got a little bit of a kind of sultana type note to it, some oily pear. These are very similar to the notes that we picked up in the last beer as well. Bit more oily pear in this one for me though, which kind of makes sense when it's a little bit more dark and malty as it is. So yeah, sultana, a little bit of kind of oily pear, maybe a little bit of oily gooseberry in there as well, and a wee touch of like a fresh green apple actually in this one, which would also make sense if this beer is a little bit more hoppy. So yeah, I think we can leave it at that for the aroma. We should have a taste of this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, this one is the an old style Gdańsk beer, this one apparently. Let's get stuck in. Sláinte, skål, cheers, na zdrowie. Oh yeah. You can kind of tell the difference there. I'm just going by the mouthfeel and just the general vibe of the beer. Pretty sure this one is an ale rather than a lager beer. You can just kind of tell with some of these beers. With some of the beers it's a little bit difficult, but you can kind of tell straight away with some. And this is most definitely more of an ale than it is. Most definitely more of an ale than it is a lager for sure. But yeah, this is a big malty kind of bready type thing. This, you know, it's not quite as sweet as say an alt beer from Dusseldorf, but it's also not a million miles away actually in that sense either. Yeah, like a slightly more hoppy alt beer in a sense. Yeah. This is quite interesting. Kind of, in a way, it's like an old school German pale ale type thing. Yeah. So let's break this down and describe it as we always do. Middle of your palate, middle third of your palate. You know, big brown bready bread crust forming the backbone of the beer. A little bit of woodiness toward the front of that. A little bit of a crackery layer on top. Then you get the fluffy kind of wholemeal brown bready character sitting on top. And that brown is, don't know if I'd go as far as describing it as rye bread actually. But there's maybe a little hint of that. It maybe does have a little bit of a rye bready hint to it, this beer. Some wholemeal brown bread on top of it. Yeah, a little bit of a more kind of wholemeal brown bready sort of thing on top of that. And yeah, I think it goes together really nicely in that regard too. So yeah. On top of the kind of the bready layers that you've got a sort of rye bready layer and a more kind of light wholemeal bready layer. Then you've also got some kind of sweeter caramelly notes to this one. So in the dead center of your palate, little circle there, straight sweet oily caramel, but a little bit caramelized as well. So maybe this beer has had a slightly longer wort boil. You can definitely get some of those leathery elements in there. Wee bit of McVitie's digestive biscuit as well, and maybe just a little slight hint of nuttiness toward the front of that middle third of your palate too. Back third of your palate, similar layers but very bready. The bread crust is a little bit more dry and grainy. You've got the crackery notes above that, some wholemeal brown bready character. Well, definitely a little bit more of the rye bready character. You can feel that layers there, but still a little bit lighter and airy. More wholemeal brown bread above that too, and then yeah, you get some of the more kind of yeasty characters out of the beer. So it's like a very light kind of more woody, farmhousey brown bread that comes out on the top layer of that back third of your palate. But as I always say, back third of your palate, the flavour is taller. Then as you come further forward into the middle third of your palate, it squashes down and condenses together. So yeah, let's look at the hoppy side of things with this beer then. So this is pretty nice actually. For me, the hoppy side of this beer is a little bit more powerful in that sense. In the back corners of the palate, you've got a little bit of a more, of a stronger earthiness to this one. And as you come further forward, it's a little bit herbal too. But as you reach the front corners of your palate, definitely a little bit of a more kind of powerful floral aromaticity out of the beer. Round the front curve of the tongue though, it's lighter and grassy, and the grassiness does have a wee more zestiness to it as well. This beer's definitely got a little bit more IBU to it than the lager did for sure. But yeah, the green component for me leans toward that more floral, grassy side of things. But the earthiness also builds a good bridge between the kind of grainy backbone of the beer. On the fruity side of things, then, that front third of your palate, bit of bread crust in the base, a bit of brown bread in there. Then above that, you've got some nice oily, fruity character for sure. So yeah, that's really nice for me. I do like how that goes together in this one. But yeah, the fruity side of the beer, at the back of that front third of your palate, oily sultana, a more oily, peary character as you come further forward. There's maybe a very slight little hint of something kind of red fruity as well. Yeah, it's got a very light kind of, yeah, sultanas, little touch of date, maybe oily pear, very slight red fruity touch to it underneath at the front tip of your tongue, and then a wee bit more kind of fresh green apple too. But yeah, the way this beer goes together, I think, is it's really quite nice. So it gets a thumbs up for me, this one, on the flavour. This is quite interesting, as I say, quite different to any sort of, can we call it German style beers that I've had before, because obviously, like we said, Gdańsk was a German city once upon a time, so this is probably like a reimagined old school recipe in a sense, or a resurrected old school recipe. But yeah, like a very kind of brown bready paleo type thing, this one. Definitely a little bit like a more kind of grainy version of an Alp beer almost. But yeah, I think that covers the flavour. Mouthfeel wise, definitely mid-bodied. Carbonation has a bit of crispness to it. It's got a little bit of a wet mouthfeel to it, this one. IBU I think is a little bit stronger, about 25-ish. The malt base, as we said, good little bit of graininess in there, a bit of smoothness, a little touch of sweetness, and some oily fruity character as well. So yeah, the way this beer goes together, I think, is really quite nice. So it gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, I like that about this one for sure. An interesting beer, this one. So this was the Tafel table beer, I guess you could say, an old style Gdańsk beer, this one. So yeah, very, very nice. Let's leave it at that for this one. I'm pretty sure this one is it is very much like a slightly more grainy version of an Alp beer, Dusseldorf Alp beer. But yeah, catch you guys with something else in just a second. That's review number 2. Alright guys, well this is the other thing you'll find on your table when you sit down here at Broward PG4. So you get this lovely kind of presentation of all the different beers that they have. So at the moment, this is February of 2023, and these are the beers that they have. So they have the Staro Gdańskie Lager, 5.2% ABV. They have the Tafel, which is kind of like a paleo style beer apparently, 4.8% ABV. They have the Krolinger sour beer, which looks like it's going to be a kind of old school one with Brettanomyces and things. Unfortunately, they don't have this menu in English. I did ask about this because they change these quite often, of course, so they always do them in Polish. So yeah, unfortunately, no English translation for this video, unfortunately. But yeah, sour beer, Krolinger, 3.3% ABV. They have a Pilsner as well, but this one is not available today, unfortunately. I would have loved to try that, 4.9% ABV. They have the Gdańskie Rybin, which is a Dunkel. I will definitely need to try that because I love my Dunkel lagers. They have the Pszeniczne Klasyczne, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. They're wheat beer, 5.2% ABV. And they also have the Gdańskie Mocne, which is a dark and strong. I'm guessing that's probably going to be a Baltic porter of some description, but 7.2% ABV. That would have been nice to try, but unfortunately they don't have this one today either. But they also have this beer, the Jopen beer. So I have to say I'm very curious to try this one. I might have to get 100 mils or something of this later on to have a taste of it because yeah, I think this one will be a bit of a monster actually. But yeah, a nice little list of the different beers here, and it does have a few things on the other side as well. I mean, you can get yourself one of these little flasks to take the bottle away. You can also get a tasting flight for 35 zlotys, which is €7, but of course 150 mils I think is just a little bit too small for me to do what I want with the tastings, unfortunately. A pitcher of one of the beers here is 54 zlotys. I don't know, 1.5 litres, that's not bad actually. Then you have the different, a bottle selection that you can take away. That would be quite nice. You also have this one up here, which I think is just a single bottle for 29 zlotys. Yeah, and then you can have a mini keg, which looks like it's about 5 litres. And they also have the brewing process here outlined in Polish. So yeah, mill the grains, put them into the whirlpool, extract the sugars, run the hot water through them, filter it out, boil up the wort, then yeah, you regulate the temperature, you put it down, let it cool, put the hops and stuff in, and then let it ferment, and then you drink it. So yeah, I think I translated the Polish fairly well there, but yeah, like I say, a very, very difficult language, but a nice little presentation that they have on this thing, I have to say. So kudos to them for that. Alright guys, so this is the first time in Poland we've had this. We had quite a lot of this in Croatia, but we have Johannes, who is the brewer here at Browar PG4. I still can't say the
That doesn't matter. Maybe English PG4 or something.
PG4, we can
Comes
do
from
that.
the address, by the way.
Why not?
Broward 4.
Oh, okay, so it's our area, right. I wondered that when I saw it. I thought it sounds like a postcode or something.
Or tiles or
Yeah, something like that, yeah. Okay, but yeah, no, I've been chatting to Johannes a little bit about the beers and stuff they have here, and he's been telling me some of the history of stuff, but Johannes is actually from Constance?
No, the Lake of Constance, close to the Lake of Constance, but I'm further in the east from and further from the west from Uni. So
okay.
somewhere between.
Yeah, somewhere Bavarian anyway. You're a Bayerish man, yeah, Bayerish man.
So let's say something like this.
So yeah, Johannes has been telling me quite a lot about about some of the beers here. So we have the menu up here. I showed you this earlier, guys. So we have the Staro Gdańskie, the Tafelbier, the Krolinger, sorry, and the Jopen beer. So you were telling me a little bit about these 4 beers being the old styles of Gdańsk beer.
These were the 4 styles from Gdańsk, but long time ago. This is 150 years ago. So, and of course nowadays you cannot do the beer in the same way or in the same style like it used to be.
Yeah.
It makes sense because in the past the beer weren't that strong as nowadays. They were drinking every day, all day beer because you might notice in beer pathogenic germs cannot live.
Oh yeah, because it's boiled and so on. So it's better than the water. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Even in this region belonged to Prussia.
Yeah,
Preußen.
Yeah, Prussia. Yeah.
And it was prohibited by law to serve children in school milk or water. They had to drink diluted beer.
Okay.
It's really true.
That's interesting.
Because one death you've got to die. So in this case, it is necessary to drink a little bit. Also, the women were drinking beer because it was safer than
drinking the water. Yeah.
Which no one knew.
Yeah.
Well, is it contaminated or not?
Who knows? Yeah. I mean, I heard in Denmark they used to pregnant women used to drink milk stout.
Milk stout,
yeah. So that's the quote.
There's lots of energy inside. Makes sense.
Makes sense. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, you were talking about the. So we got the 4 beers here. Maybe you can.
Let's start with the Danziger or Staro Gdańskie.
Yeah.
That was in the past actually this beer what they were drinking on Sunday or anniversaries or something like this, for special events. Yeah.
Okay.
It was a bit stronger, slightly stronger than the common table beer.
Yeah.
And it was not very bitter.
Okay.
So in the past, generally, the good beer, what is it actually in English? Beer or beers? Because in German it's not possible, the plural.
We should say a couple of beers, yeah.
A couple of beers.
A couple of beers, yeah, you would say.
Yeah, we would say. Okay.
Or you would say beer styles, I guess, if it's different kinds of beer, yeah.
Because I thought in English it's the same way like in German, things what you cannot count, and beer belongs to them, doesn't have a plural.
1 beer, 2 beers. No, it's accountable now.
It's countable.
Yeah.
So we cannot count beer.
Maybe that's a good thing for Germans. I don't know.
So it's let's go. It's true. So it is 1 beer, 2 beers.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's good.
So they were drinking the bit better style, and these beers, while Danziger beer, this Staro Gdańskie, which didn't fail while fermentation.
Oh, okay.
They were selling it for this sort of anniversary events on whatever, the church events, community. And if it failed during 80%, they diluted it and added a lot of hops and sell it as table beer.
Okay,
And
right.
it was not only in Gdańsk, it was quite a common procedure. This is, so, and the rest, whatever they gathered, let's say, or collected, pre-runs, after runs, and so on, they were collected it in a separate vessel. And it was a sort of continuous fermentation with lactobacillus, and it was then the sour beer.
Right. Okay.
So
it's kind of like a tree, if you like. You've got this is what they wanted to brew.
Yeah.
This is some of the stuff that they got, and then this is the. Oh, we're not going to waste anything.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Something like this.
Okay.
Yeah. But it was now in Gdańsk. This is and now it was a general. It was a common thing in the breweries, because in the past they never wasted anything.
Okay.
So. And it was not necessary to keep the durability for a long time, because everywhere around the corner was an next brewery. You didn't have to conservate or pasteurize.
The beer was going to be drunk within a couple of days or something like
round
that.
the chimney.
Fair enough.
And Jopen beer is they used it actually in the past as a spice for soups. For soups or for sauces, something, and also for spice for some other beers.
Okay.
In the past, it was in extract stronger than our ones, and in alcohol content lower.
Right. Okay.
So in the past, it had at the most 6% alcohol ABV, but nowadays it's not sellable. It's not sellable with 3%. It's too sweet. It's too malty. So, and it has 3 different kind of fermentations. The first one is, or we could go downstairs in the cellar.
Oh, we could.
Fermentation cellar. I could show you the first is with malt.
Okay.
Comparable to cheese camembert or Roquefort.
All right. Okay. Interesting.
The second stage is with yeast.
Okay.
Beer yeast, not wine yeast, because I don't like this wine. I don't know the English term. Wine acid.
Oh, tannins. Maybe.
Tannins.
Yeah.
And the last one is this same fermentation like sherry or port wine, Madeira, and this makes this intense character of this direction of Madeira, port wine, and sherry, something like this. And it takes the first fermentation with malt is about 2 months.
Okay.
Then 3 months with fermentation with yeast, and the rest is at least 5 months. This depends. The longer, the more intense is the sherry port wine flavor.
Okay.
So and nowadays it's more digestive, aperitif. So we are selling it only 50 milliliters. It is still in extract, 28, 20, more than 28, probably 30%.
Okay.
In extract, alcohol 10.
Okay.
So it's for diabetics, we don't recommend. This is also where we always, this is in Polish, aware if you have
like a warning kind of thing.
This, same thing like cola or all this sugar.
Oh exactly.
Beverages.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
Interesting.
So and this means all the same thing is we do the Danziger, not that hoppy, not that bitter, but a bit stronger extract. Table, like in the past, very bitter.
Okay.
It's actually a thing between your English IPA and the German alt beer.
Yeah, no, I actually said that when I tasted this one. I was like, it reminds me a little bit of the Dusseldorf alt beers, but a little bit more bitter and not quite as sweet.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm pleased I got that from it, actually.
Thanks. And also I use in table beer, whatever I have. I use all the grains, barley, wheat, oat, rye, and spelt. And of course potatoes as well.
Oh, right, okay.
It's
that's
quite funny
interesting.
because with the potatoes, but it's only actually more or less a sort of marketing thing, you know.
Ah, okay.
Because the potatoes themselves, they don't have a specific flavor or aroma. This is just bringing in carbohydrates.
Right,
basically,
okay.
you know. And the enzymes are coming, as you might know, from the malt, and then they degrade into fermentable sugars. You know. And the qualling it has 3 different kind of fermentations. It's not like in the past. I cannot do gathering and collecting these pre-runs and things. Is simply not possible anymore nowadays. The first fermentation is with lactobacillus.
All right, okay.
Yeah, it's at the end we have lactic acid. It's quite interesting. So you can operate it. You want it more sour or not that sour.
So you can play around with it.
And the next step is fermentation. Same thing. Top fermenting. Top fermenting yeast. And the last one is the Brettanomyces buxalensis.
Oh, okay.
The third one. This is sort I don't know. You might know this is sort of. It's a weird.
Yeah, Brettanomyces can change over time and all this kind of stuff. Yeah.
But without that, I mean, before the fermentation with Brettanomyces, in English
Brettanomyces, yeah.
Brettanomyces.
Or you could just say Brett.
Brett, yeah.
Brett, that works. Yeah.
You're also using Brettanomyces.
Yeah.
It is something is missing. You know, it is sour. It has alcohol and well, it's not as strong as you can do 3.3 alcohol or 8.4 in extract. But with the Brettanomyces, it has something, something of fruity, actually fruity and freshness.
Ah, okay. Yeah.
But I think only in combination with this sour touch from the lactobacillus. Because if I had this in the other beers, actually I'm not very happy.
Yeah. You wouldn't. Yeah, it's you either want that or you don't want it. Yeah, exactly.
I want it there, but not there.
Not there.
Here
yeah.
and not there. Yeah.
You're not there. Yeah.
We could go downstairs if you would like. Then
Cool,
I could show you this the fermentation steps.
Yeah, let's
of
do
the
that.
open.
Let's do that. Yeah. So, guys, I'll figure out with this one because we might mix this together. So we'll stop the kind of little interviewy bit just now, and we'll go downstairs with Johannes and have a little look at the Krolinger and the Jopen beer fermentation tank. So let's do this. Catch you guys in a second. Alright guys, so we got a special treat. Johannes brought me down to this little room, kind of just under where I was sitting, and he's going to show us the first and the third stage of the Jopen beer. Yeah, okay. So, can you explain what's going on in this one again, Johannes? Yeah. So this is the first stage of the Jopen beer, guys.
Yeah. This is a mold, of course, a precious one. This is not this sort of mold what we have back home at the shower or in the shower. Yeah. So this, it is comparable or very close to the molds in cheese, camembert, roquefort, in this direction. So, and the mold produces enzymes which degrades hemicelluloses, lignin, even to lower chemical compounds. So after this fermentation, it's not that dense anymore. Secondly, it adds a certain flavor or aroma. Let's say it goes in the direction of walnut and very, very ripe apple.
Yeah.
So, and this takes about 2.5 months. So afterwards, we pump it to a next vessel, add beer yeast, and then we start the normal fermentation, beer fermentation. Yeah. This also takes about 2.5-3 months because of this high concentration of sugar. Takes long. The stronger, the longer.
Yeah.
Well known.
Yeah.
And afterwards, we are then separating it again. So, and we are pumping it then to this vessel here.
All right.
And here are these microorganisms which add this flavor like port wine, sherry.
Oh yeah, no. So this smells.
It's very nice.
Yeah, this is almost. It almost smells like a very, very sweet Doppelbock or barley wine or something like this. Yeah. So I mean, look at this, guys. It's just like syrup almost.
It's almost syrup, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, this brown stuff, these are proteins. This is the only beer what I, let's say, I treat with a sort of filter, a very fine sieve, let's say, because due to this density, what is this word? The precipitation.
Precipitation, yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Doesn't work very properly. So yeah, makes sense because it's really very, very dense still.
Yeah, it smells lovely though. I mean, I could just, if I just stuck my head in here and drowned, that would be fine. I'd be quite happy. That'd be a good way to go out, I think. But yeah, it's lovely. It smells lovely. Yeah. It's pretty awesome.
I also like this.
Yeah. I think there'd be something wrong with you if you didn't. But yeah. And you were saying the other 2 tanks you're just kind of washing out for the moment for the next time you do the beer.
Yeah, exactly. One is empty and the next one I'm getting water, but only for cleaning. If I needed it for Jopen, of course, then it's prepared. I could use it, but Jopen. You are not drinking it in half liter or liter.
Unless you're very brave. Yeah.
But we had some guests once, or sometimes, not only once, sometimes they're really drinking 0.7 liter of this European beer. And we are always worried about if they don't drop off the chair. Because the problem is high amount of sugar. Alcohol. The alcohol is, is bearable. 10%, 0.7 liter, but it is possible that they get a shock. So, because imagine cola, for instance, has 11.0 percentage of sugar, and Jopen has 2.5, almost 3 times more.
So about 30 kind of
about
30% sugar. It's crazy, yeah.
So and this is the reason why I prefer actually to drink it together with coffee.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because
you get a bit of a bitter and a bit of sweet, but yeah.
You have the coffee and you have the minerals, you have the energy, and you have some, but only 50 milliliters, not a liter or something. Only a little. What is it? This little shot?
The little, like a little snifter glass. Snifter glass.
Yeah,
like a sort of whiskey glass, yeah. Oh. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to trying that. The other interesting point you mentioned before was that you have to use 900 kilograms of malt for this.
And
so
the current brew has 180.
Okay.
Of malt. This depends on this high amount of extract.
Yeah.
Somewhere must the extract coming from, and if not from malt, where from?
Exactly, yeah. I guess the one last thing we could maybe mention about this is from start to finish, from when you first start off the first stage to when it's in the bottle ready to be drunk. What timeline are we talking with the open beer?
About a year.
About 1 year.
About a year.
Okay.
The longer, the more intense. Let's say.
And does it? If you leave it in the bottle, say you buy a bottle and leave it for a year or two, is that flavour is going to change a little bit over time, or
not really? Actually, not as long as it is closed. Not. It is actually a bit like a red wine. If you open it, the oxidization.
Oxidization, yeah.
Oxidization.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No worries.
Yeah. Oxidization is similar to red wine. It gets a bit better, but one day you might notice if you have an open bottle of red wine in the fridge or somewhere, after a year it is then the same thing. Actually, it's not that great anymore.
Yeah, exactly. It just goes bad.
So, but after, let's say, for 2-3 weeks or 4 weeks, it is very good, very drinkable.
Okay.
Same thing is with the open.
So as the creator of the beer, if you like, what would you say? Drink when you get the bottle. Just drink it, or just try it.
Just try it.
Just try it. Okay.
Because I myself, as I told you, a little shot together with a coffee, or after instead of a dessert, I prefer Europe. But it's really, I must admit, it is then enough It is not. Or yeah, you could as a present, for friends or in a round of.
Yeah.
This might have sense, but
for one person, that's you're asking for trouble. Yeah.
It's actually pillows for pig.
Yeah. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
It's not necessary. I mean, from time to time, it's really great. Or would you like to try some?
Yeah, I guess we can have a little taste of that. But yeah. We'll end this little.
I pick up a glass.
Okay. We'll pause this little section here and we'll try it together. So yeah, this is this little room under here, and just so you can see, this is where we just came down from here, and Johannes is going to let us try some. So here we go. All right. So yeah, here we go. Johannes is getting some of the open beer out. So you were saying, yeah, you have to clean this pretty much right away afterwards. Yeah. So yeah, look at this. It's basically just like molasses or treacle or something like that, isn't it?
It's really like molasses.
It looks very nice. Yeah. Awesome. So yeah, we'll let Johannes clean this, and we'll be back in a second to taste it. So there we go, guys. Look at these. Awesome. All right, guys. So we're gonna try the open beer now. Johannes very kindly poured me some a second ago, as you saw. So yeah, do you want to introduce your creation?
Well, as we mentioned before, we were talking about this beer before. Now it's time to check what it's like.
Time to have a look.
I suppose.
Yeah. So a little look at the nose first, I guess. Yeah.
What do you think about the?
It reminds me of, like, honestly, when I smell this first, it's kind of like a sort of rum barrel-aged barley wine. That's what it reminds me of, actually.
Yeah, might be.
Or maybe cognac barrel-aged barley wine, kind of like that.
Yeah, it's. I think there is nothing comparable in the world. In this world, my opinion, it is.
Yeah.
It's
very. I mean, it's like a. I think it's fair to say it's a big brown sugary bastard, but it's lovely. Let's have a taste. Yeah.
Cheers, mate.
Slange, skål, frost. Yeah.
Is it in Scottish as well?
Yeah.
Like in
Irish, yeah.
Slangeval.
Slangeval, I think. I forget which way around it is. They didn't let us learn Gaelic at school. No. In case we rebelled, you know. Yeah.
So very dense, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
The sweetness is maltose.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's
of all kinds of sugars, maltose is the most pleasant one.
Oh yeah. I mean, this is lovely. I mean, like I say, for me, it's very like it really. I love barley. Scotch ales obviously are very big brown sugary beers. So because of that, I love barley wines, doppelbocks, the Belgian quadruples, and this is like right up my street. This is the kind of this is like right up.
I thought you were from Scotland, so you might be a specialist in whiskey. Actually, in Scotch.
No, it's because I studied in Germany. I got more into beer, so that was it. But like I say, it really this one it really reminds me of like a sort of cognac barrel doppelbock, or something like that. It's like that's kind of how I review beer. I always kind of compare, like, if you like this, you'll like if you like that one, you'll like this. That's just kind of how it goes. So my brain's trying to say, what is this like? It's lovely. I mean, you get like a kind of woody backbone to it. I think it's got a little bit of wood and leather underneath for me, and then a lot of the kind of sweet brown sugars on top.
Yeah. Caramel also a bit. It's a very complex thing, actually, in my opinion. By the way, each brew is different. It is not possible to do it right in the same way.
Oh yeah, you'll get little variations all the time.
Well, fortunately, in my opinion, this how can I say? It is. For instance, the first brew was better than the second brew.
Okay.
And the third brew, no, hang on. Yeah, the first brew was better than the second brew, and the third brew was something.
Okay.
Like the second brew, and that one is the fourth brew.
So you've only done you've only done this beer 4 times. So this you've done this one for like 3-4 years now.
Yearly.
Yeah. Okay.
Annually.
Okay. I mean, yeah, for me, as I say, the backbone of this beer is it's lovely and smooth and woody. Then on top of that, you've got all the big oily brown sugars. It's got like a wee tiny like touch of nuttiness in the aftertaste, I think, as well, almost just a little bit. But then, as I say, it's all about these kind of like treacle molasses, big brown sugars, and yeah, like dry fruits and things. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing is, what can I say? I mean, if you say so, you know, for me, I know it meanwhile 3 years or more, 4 years. And as I told you, each brew is a bit different, and that one is by the way, actually, in my opinion, so far the best one.
This is the
fourth one, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But you know, the first brew before I experimentized back home at least 1.5 years for 2 years.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 2 years even. You know, I had needed to find the microorganisms because they don't exist anymore.
Oh yeah.
So, and the first was which kind of mold I would take. I should take, and I mean, my education is I'm a double brew master, and the majority is microbiology.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And biochemistry. So I could exclude from the beginning on a certain species. But you know, if it works or not with this high concentration in carbohydrates, it is almost like a concentrate.
Yeah.
You know, so, and it was the first one 2 weeks. I waited 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and then it was always the decision: maybe tomorrow, or maybe I throw it away and try it with another mode. And but then I found out that the first mode I tried that was pasteurized.
Yeah.
So and then I looked at the package. Yeah, this never will. There is nothing alive anymore. You know, but you know, I was on the shelf. I was looking for a certain what is it actually? Blue cheese in English, you know, this French
blue cheese,
blue cheese, these sort of, you know,
these kind of things,
kind of things, and I was now thinking about they could have been pasteurized, you know.
Oh yeah. That's interesting. Yeah. So,
because I thought, you know, blue cheese is always fresh and, you know, and rotten label, you know. I thought you need to buy it fresh, and if you wait too long, then you can throw it away. But I never thought about it that they pasteurize it.
If it's pasteurized, then it's no good.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. But I mean, I have to say, this is lovely. Like I say, for me, everyone obviously has a different point of reference when it comes to beer, but this, it really reminds me of it's kind of like a mix between like a really like long boil barley wine and a doppelbock, like some kind of doppelbock, but to me it tastes like cognac barrel aging. But like I say, it's right up my street, this one. I mean, like I say, a little bit of wood, little hints of nut in it, but you know, big silky oily brown sugars. Like it's got the kind of fruity notes to it, you know, like sultana, dates, a little bit of fig. It's more like a dry fruit than a red fruit, I think. This one,
exactly. There's also a dry plums or something like this. Also
prunes, prunes. This is the weird. This is the weird thing. So you've got plums, which are the normal ones, and then prunes are the dry ones, and then raisins are dried like dark grapes, and then sultanas are dry white and green red grapes. So it's English is weird, that. But yeah, no, I have to say this is lovely. As I say, if you like if you like a good big barley wine, you'll enjoy this. If you enjoy a big massive doppelbock, you will enjoy this too. But it's very, very unique. It's actually got a little touch of sharpness on the back end of it as well, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, it's possible. By the way, the IBU is over 80.
This is over 80 IBUs?
Yeah. More 81 about. Supposed to be. By calculation.
See, I have to admit, I never would have got the IBU from this.
Because you know, it compensates by this high amount of sugar and maltose and the rest of the.
Certainly. That's made me think, because that's on when it comes to like my tastings and stuff that I do. That's my weakest point for doing is like the IBU. Because I say something, oh, this is like 80 IBUs or something, it's like 20 or something. That's the point. Everything else I think is fine, but the IBU count, I would never ever have guessed this was 80 IBU. I would have said it was. You get a little bit of like green. You do get a little bit on the side of the palate, I think, but.
And a bit in the aftertaste. But as I mentioned, this is, it is coming, this high amount, let's say we are not adding that much hops, then it is too sweet, this is just to compensate this high sweetness, let's say, so it is a sort of rival, they're in competition to each other, the sweetness and the hoppiness or bitterness.
Yeah, no, but I mean, I really like it. It's, as I said to you, it's like right up my street. I love these big brown sugary beasts, and this is nice. You can't. You can't go wrong with this. I mean, you guys know on the channel I love Scotch ales, doppelbocks, barley wines, Belgian quadruples. Yeah, if you like this kind of style of beer, this is absolutely worth trying because it's a new take on something very old school and very, very unique, I think.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I think that's that.
But for us, it's more a business card, and it's not a real business.
Okay.
With the open it alone or itself, we could close the door.
This is a bit of fun.
This when I projected this brewery, the owner asked me once, "What about this open beer?" And I said I was not into this subject, but I knew roughly in which direction it will go. It's going to be, And said, listen, if you want this beer, you must be sure that we get on the market at least 25, 30 euros per liter, at least. Otherwise, because we need a separate room. Because the mold needs oxygen, and the last one as well. The yeast doesn't care. So this is the reason why we cannot produce it with carbon dioxide. Because the microorganisms need oxygen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So we need open vessels. And we need a separate room because I was afraid that we could contaminate the
everything. That's it. That's caused a lot of like small infections. I know a few breweries. One in Denmark, Stronzo, they had an infection and never recovered from it. So this
is possible.
Yeah, it is. Like it's definitely possible. But I think that's that. So Johannes, thank you for talking us through the Jopen beer and the Gdańsk beers, and thanks for like taking a bit of time out of your workday to kind of just sit and chat about your beers and stuff. So this is really cool. This is like I said, in Croatia we have a lot of brewers come and sit down with us. This is the first time in Poland, so it's awesome. Yeah, so cool. No, big thank you. It's good.
Jim, I need to thank you.
Yeah,
and very, very pleased to meet you.
It's very nice to meet you as well, Johannes. So, guys, again, a big thank you to Johannes. Come and visit and say hello to him at Broward PG4 or PG4.
PG4. Doesn't matter.
Or PG4. So we can do that. Come and visit Gdańsk, lovely city, and some good beers.
What you don't know, you might not know. This guy is talking German. He talks German. He's able to speak. Oh, sorry.
Little bit.
No. And it's not only a little.
Yeah.
Oh, I know.
We'll see.
I found out. He speaks a pretty good German.
Oh, see. Maybe need to show you guys that sometime. But Johannes has to go and pick up his boys soon, so we can't be late for that. But guys, thank you for this one. Catch you guys with something else, I think. We'll figure out how to put this video together, but you will see this. Slams you guys.
Have a good time. We see you.
Cheers.
We will see you. Cheers.
We'll see you. Alright guys, well, time for beer tasting number 3 then here at Broward PG4. So we are going to have a look at something that I've been drinking quite a few of on this little trip to Poland, but it has been quite nice. This one though will be a little bit different than that style category. So beer number 3 is their Hefeweizen, which comes in at 5.2% ABV, although the brewer Johannes tells me that this beer most of the time is a little bit higher than that and a bit closer to 5.5. But when this beer came out, it had a lovely kind of just a little bit more than a half finger of a frothy kind of cream coloured head. You can see this one is a slightly off-white colour there, but you can see as well that this is one of the darker wheat beers that we've come across on this trip. The colour of this one is a little bit more akin to like a Weizenbock or a Hefeweizen or something like this. So yeah, this one does look very, very nice. Again, remember the colour of your beer depends on 1, the type of malts that you use. This goes a long way to determining your EBC rating. 2, length of your wort boil is also going to play a role. The longer you boil the wort, the more the sugar is caramelised, thus you get a darker colour of beer. Any barley aging you do or any adjuncts you put in will affect it as well. But yeah, you don't often have to care about that when it comes to Hefeweizens. But this one certainly looks more along the lines of like a Dunkelweizen or a Weizenbock or something like that. You've got the lovely kind of hazy colour to it, and I think it is quite right to describe this one as like a quite deep, rich amber sort of colour. So yeah, 1 or 2 big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom of the head there, but overall it does look very, very nice. So yeah, nothing else to say about the appearance of this one. Let's have a wee look at the nose of this beer and see what it's all about. So yeah, aroma-wise, this is absolutely lovely. Gives you everything you would want from the style, and I have to say straight away, it doesn't actually smell too sweet either, which is what I was expecting from the colour of it. So yeah, the backbone of the beer, absolutely, you've got a little bit of a kind of fresh, kind of brown bready bread crust to this one. That does go together very, very nicely. So fresh brown bready bread crust, a little bit of a wholemeal brown bread in there, but then you've got all the fluffy white bread that you would expect. So this goes together really, really nicely, I have to say. My food's just coming, I'm just going to pause very quickly. Alright guys, and we're back. So, yeah, like I was saying, above the kind of brown bready notes, you get a lovely kind of, you get a lovely sort of, you get that lovely kind of white bready character of this one. You get the clovey spice, absolutely. You get a little bit of the banana out of the beer, which is obviously from the yeast, and you've also got that little bit of bubblegummy sweetness. But with this beer, you do have a little bit of a lighter, sweet caramel. It's also got a little bit of crispness to it as well, which I think is great. Yeah, I mean, the way that this beer goes together on the malty base is really quite nice. A lot of biscuit and a lot of slightly toasty but still very sweet brown sugar coming out of this beer for me. So yeah, I have to say, I do like how this one goes together. It gets a big, big thumbs up actually. The more I smell of it, the more I get a sweet caramel kind of note. So that, I have to say, is quite nice. On the hoppy side of things, you do get a little touch of smooth earthiness in there. You've got a little bit of herbal character as well, and you've also got a little bit of floral note and also a wee touch of a kind of lighter, you've got a wee touch of a lighter grassy sort of character to it too. So yeah, it's quite nice, this one. The Hefeweizen, of course, is not the most hop forward of styles. On the fruity side of things, and like we say, we've got a little bit of banana in this one. There's a wee bit of apricot in there. I do get a tiny little hint. I do get quite a little bit of oily pear to this beer as well, but then there's also little tiny hints of like a very slightly red fruity note, like a, what would we say, like a light strawberry or something like that maybe. So yeah, a wee bit of that going on in this one, which I have to say is quite nice. Yeah, aroma-wise, this beer is very, very nice in that sense. So yeah, it gets a big thumbs up from me. On the aroma, I think it's about time that we taste this one and see what it's all about. So yeah, this beer, the exact name of it was the Przeźniczne Klaszyzny. I'm really not sure if I pronounced that right. But let's get stuck in. Slange, skål, cheers, Nastoria. That is nice. It's a very, very nice beer. The thing as well with it is, in the first taste, you get this, you get the straight up, you get the straight up Hefeweizen character of it. But later on, it does show a little bit more of the the kind of white bready notes as well. It shows a little bit. Sorry, it shows a little bit more of the brown sugary character. That's what I was meaning to say. It shows you a little bit of the more Dunkelweizen things. Johannes was telling me that this beer is a little bit more based on the. He likes when it comes to the bigger Hefeweizen breweries, he likes Schneider beer. So it's kind of based on that. And you can kind of get a little bit of that vibe out of this one. Actually, it's almost like a little sister to Aventinus. Maybe it kind of comes across like that. But yeah, let's break this beer down and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So the backbone of the beer, you've got this lovely little bit of kind of white bready bread crust forming the backbone of the beer. Above that, or within that, you get a little touch of woodiness. You also have a little bit of a kind of wholemeal brown bready character in there, a little bit of woodiness within that too. Then above that, on the middle third of your palate, you get the big fluffy white bready layer, which again I very much like. So the big fluffy white bready layer that you get out of this beer goes down very, very well in my opinion. Further forward in that white bready layer, you get some of the sweeter banana notes out of the yeast, but further back you start to get more of the kind of clovey spice. But above that, you can feel there's like a little circle there, and you get the kind of bubblegummy type qualities out of the beer. Above all of these layers though, there's a little touch of a kind of lightly toasty brown sugar. In the dead centre of your palate, I think there's a little touch of a straight up caramel to this one, but it's not overly sweet, this beer. I actually get more and more of the kind of white bread, the clove, and the bubblegummy character out of this beer a little bit later on. So yeah, I do like how all of that pieces together. So yeah, that's lovely, this one. Middle third of the palate has everything you want from this style. Back third of the palate is quite similar. The bread crust is there. You've got a little bit of an almost crackery layer to this one, which just gives the beer that wee bit more dryness. You always get that on the back third of the palate. Above all of that, you've got a more wholemeal brown bready sort of thing. Then you've got a more kind of tall and airy white bready layer coming out of the beer, which is nice. And yeah, the way that goes together is good. So yeah, a little bit of bread crust, a little bit of Jacob's cream crackery sort of thing, wholemeal brown bread, fluffy white bread above that, and yeah, I think it goes together really nicely in that sense. Above all of that though, you get a wee bit more of the clovey spice kind of topping it off, and then just some airy kind of farmhousey bread from the east sitting above all of that. But back third of the palate, the flavour is taller. As you come further forward, it condenses down and squashes together that wee bit more. So yeah, the way that goes together in this one is really, really nice. Yeah, lovely stuff. So on the hoppy side of things, then back corners of the palate, you've got a little bit of earthiness in there. As you move further forward, it's a little touch herbal as well, and as you reach the front corners of the palate, you start to get a little bit more floral aromaticity, and round the front curve of the tongue, a little bit lighter and more grassy for sure. So yeah, typical kind of noble hop characters on this one, a little bit sort of floral, like I say, a little bit of everything going on there, but that is nice in this beer. Yeah. So on the fruity side of things then, the front third of your palate, base of that front third of your beer, you've got a little bit of a kind of wholemeal brown bready type character to it. That's kind of forming the base, but a little bit of bread crust. Then above that you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters just roll their way out of the beer. And again, I do like how that goes together. Fruity side of the beer then, back of that front third of your palate, I get a lot of sultana, I get a bit of date in there as well actually. And as you move further forward, it's got a little bit more of a kind of oily, peary type quality, definitely. There's a teeny little hint of red fruity character to this one, like a little bit of a candied strawberry or something like that in there. So I do really like how that goes together. And then above all of that, there's a wee touch more. You do get a little bit of a more you get like a little touch of fresh green apple just in the front tip of the tongue. But as I say, a really nice wheat beer, this one, and I do like how this pieces together actually. Yeah, nice, very nice stuff actually, I have to say. Very smooth, this one. I think we should move on to the mouthfeel now. So this beer for me, it's mid-bodied, pushing toward the top end of mid-bodied potentially. It's a very, very smooth Hefeweizen in that sense, but it does have a good little bit of sweetness to it as well. Not too much, it's not cloying. But yeah, it has got a good balance in the malt base of dry bread crust, fluffy bread, the kind of brown sugary sweetness, and also the more bubblegummy sweetness. Like I say, a little bit of hoppy bitterness in this one. I think it's a fairly standard, like 15, 20 IBUs, which is normal for this style, and you have got that little bit of fruity character as well. But like I say, very nicely done Hefeweizen, this one. It certainly has my approval. So yeah, good stuff. Big thumbs up to PG4 for this one. I think this is a very nice beer. So yeah, I think that's the end of tasting number 3 then. Catch you guys in a second with something else. We've got a few more things to try here, I have to say. So yeah guys, I ordered myself one of these, the sourdough soup with white sausage and boiled eggs. So yeah, here they don't serve it in the big kind of bready thing, it comes in a plate. So yeah, I have to say, it looks pretty nice. I'm going to have a little look at this and see what it's all about. Let's taste this. Alright, well, let's have a little taste of this sourdough soup. So we'll try the broth first off. As you can see, it looks very, very nice, I have to say. I love it. Oh yeah. It does definitely have that wee bit of kind of sourdough. You can get a little touch of sourness out of this. It's very, very nice. Yeah, it's just got that little bit of a kind of tingliness to the broth, which I really do enjoy. But at the same time, very, very herbal, a little bit salty as well. Yeah, just quite hearty, you know. Polish food for me is quite straightforward, but just really good. Always just quite hearty, good bit of carb, you know, you can't really ask for much more. So let's try a little bit of the, this is a little bit of the sausage, and we'll try that with the broth. Yeah, sausage isn't really like too salty or anything like that. I've not had Weisswurst, you know, I think when I think about white sausage, I think about Weisswurst, German Weisswurst. But the sausage in this one it's not too sweet, it's not too spicy, it's just kind of straight up and, like I say, old school and hearty. A little bit of bacon this time on this one. And the sort of bacon hammy kind of thing that's in this one is quite nice. I'm trying to gather a little bit of everything, and we'll try it all together. We've got a wee bit of egg now as well. So yeah, we've got a wee bit of everything on the spoon. A little bit of potato as well, by the looks of it. So yeah, you can see a little bit of everything on this one. The sausage, the bacon, the egg, and a wee bit of the potato. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's very, very nice. Like I say, Polish food for me is very straightforward, hearty. It's just good. I enjoy it. So it gets a big thumbs up from me. Yeah, I don't think we need to say anything else about. I don't think we need to say anything else about this. This soup. To be honest with you, it's just really, really nice. Certainly wouldn't hesitate to have this again. Awesome stuff. But I'm about to do my German class at this point, which will be 2 and a bit hours, so I probably will need something a bit bigger than this after we've done that. So I'll catch you guys in a little bit with another beer, and then we'll do a little bit more food. See you soon. Alright guys, well, time for our 4th, although you could argue 5th tasting here at Broward PG4. So yeah, for the next one we are going to have a look at the sour beer now. So this one is called Krolinger. It comes in at 3.3% ABV, and this one is actually a triple fermented sour beer. So the first stage, if I'm remembering correctly what Johannes told me, uses lactobacillus. The second stage is using a top fermenting yeast, and then they use Brettanomyces at the end with this one. But yeah, only 3.3% ABV, and like I said, this is like an old school, like a properly old school beer from here in Gdańsk. So yeah, it should be quite interesting. So yeah, let's have a wee look at the appearance of it first, just quickly, so you can see it actually looks a little bit like a kind of New England pale ale. Lovely kind of bright mango juice colour. You can see about a quarter finger of a frothy, I would say kind of cream coloured head on this one. That is going to fade away to be a nice kind of thinner foamy layer over time. You can see one or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, and a few little ones just going up toward the bottom of that head there. But yeah, it looks very nice, this one, as you can see. Quite an interesting looking beer, but it really does look like a New England pale ale. Let's have a wee look at the aroma then and see what this one is going to have in store for us. So yeah, aroma wise, I have to be honest and say this to me doesn't really smell overly sour. Yeah, I mean, this is quite, to me, it's actually, you can smell a little bit of kind of citricy character in the top of the nose, along with some grassy and floral character, but it's actually more kind of malty than anything else. So I mean, for me, it's quite bready. There's a little bit of kind of fresh white bready bread crust in this one. There's fluffy white bread. Yeah, as I say, bread crust, fluffy white bread, a little bit of there's almost a little bit of a slightly thicker wheaty character to this one, and maybe a little bit of wheat at the back of the nose, like a little bit of bitiness, but you've also got some smooth kind of oaty character in this beer as well. So yeah, for me that's really quite interesting, I have to say. Yeah, aroma-wise, I think this goes together. This goes together really quite nicely in that sense. On the hop, I don't know if there's anything else really to say about the malty side of it actually. In terms of the hoppy side of things, there's a little bit of earthy character in there. There's a little bit of earthy character in there, a little bit of a kind of herbal note as well, but it's quite noble in its character, the same way the other ones have been. A little bit of floral character, some nice bright grassy character as well. Yeah, it does go together quite nicely in that sense, I should say. But on the fruity side of things, I mean, on the fruity side of things for me, this beer is quite, it's quite, as I say, you've got a little bit of that limey citricy character to it. There's a wee bit, just trying to sugar it up a wee bit more. Yeah, when you sugar the beer up a little bit like this, you get more of the sour citricy notes out of it. So yeah, definitely some kind of limey citricy character. You've also got a wee bit of, you have got a little bit of, like I say, yeah, you've got a little bit of kind of, there's a little bit of almost gooseberry kind of thing there, some apricot-y notes as well. But yeah, aroma-wise, this really is quite interesting. Really not what I expected from a sour beer, right enough. But as I say, only 3.3% ABV. It's like a session sour, I guess we could say. So, as I always say, take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma, but I think we should dive into this one and see what it's all about. Slange, skål, cheers, and Astro. Oh yeah. It's actually, in some ways, it reminds me of like a thicker Berliner Weisse when I think about it. This beer is not a million miles away from like a proper old school Berliner Weisse. It's also got some kind of like Gose type character to it, in a sense, but it's not like the salt that the Gose would have, but the rest of it isn't a million miles away from that. So it's quite a wheaty and bready sour beer, this one. I'm trying to remember the name of that really old school gozer that I had that was by a German brewery. The beer really reminds me of that. So it has got a wee bit of that New England Pale Ale kind of character to it in the malt base. But like I say, it is more, it's kind of got that Berliner Weisse, old school Berliner Weisse type thing. So, yeah. The way this beer goes together, I think, is pretty damn nice, I have to say. But yeah, gets a thumbs up from me. One thing with sour beers is you always have to look at the impact flavour and just see how it develops in your palate, but this is very, very nice. So we'll go through this beer as we do all of them. This is quite a straightforward beer, but it's just really quite refreshing and quite nice in a sense, and not something I expected to find, I have to say, but that's what you want when you do these videos. So, the middle of your palate then, the backbone of this beer, you've got a little bit of, you do certainly have a little bit of you do have a little bit of a kind of fresh white bready bread crust sort of thing going on. Above that, you start to get fluffy. There's a little bit, actually, above the bread crust, there's a little bit of a Jacob's cream cracker sort of thing. Yeah, so a little bit of Jacob's cream cracker, fluffy white bread. My schnitzel's just come in, so I'm going to pause for a sec. So yeah, my schnitzel just arrived. I have to say it's a monster. But yeah, let's finish off the taste of this beer first. So, they're quite quick at getting the food out here. I didn't quite expect it that fast. But yeah, fresh bread crust, Jacob's cream cracker above that, the fluffy white bread, and I think there's definitely a sort of wheaty layer in this one as well. You can feel the wheat just kind of thickening out the beer, and I do almost get just a little touch of oaty character going down the middle of the palate there, which is quite interesting, but definitely mainly a kind of fluffy white bready character in the middle of the palate here. The back third of the palate is quite similar, but of course it's just that little touch drier. So yeah, you've got for me, you have a little bit of bread crusty character, you have a little bit of cracker there as well, big kind of thick, airy, fluffy white bready layer coming out of this one. And I think the way this goes together is very, very nice on that sense. But you can feel that fluffy white bready layer is just a little bit more tawny, or you've got the denser wheat on top, and then a little bit of a more kind of woody, yeasty character there. But yeah, back third of the palate, the flavour is taller. As you come further forward, it condenses down and squashes together. So the way this beer goes together, I think, is really very, very nice. So it's a big thumbs up from me. So, on the hoppy side of things then, quite similar to what we've had before actually. So yeah, the back corners of the palate, you've got a little bit of earthiness in there. As you come further forward, you get a little touch of herbal character, and as you move further forward, you get a little bit more floral note. And round the front curve of the tongue, it's certainly lighter and grassier and a wee bit more zesty. So, yeah, front third of your palate. Yeah, the front third of your palate then on the sour side of things. The border region between front third and middle third of your palate, you get a little bit of bready build up there. Then the base of that front third of your palate is more bread crust, fluffy white bread, and you've got a wee bit of fruity character just kind of coming on top of that. For me, the fruit that is coming from the hops in this one, it's got a little bit of sultana, a little bit of pear, but of course much of the fruity character in this beer is actually coming from the kind of wild yeast that's in this one, the lactobacillus and the Brettanomyces. For me, lactobacillus is always a little bit sharper in its flavour, so I think the lactobacillus is the one that's given you the kind of impact, because when you take the beer in, you do have quite a sharp limey character coming out of this one, but then so you get that sharp limey character in there. Underneath that, as I say, you get the more oily fruits, and then further forward you start to get the slightly smoother sourness out of the beer. So that's kind of interesting, yeah, that smoother sourness that comes out of the beer. And that, I think, is more the Brettanomyces in this one. So yeah, it's got that little bit more of a woody, oily character, to be honest. But you can feel a little bit of the kind of lemon, limey, citric notes going around the edge of your tongue there, which I also quite like. So yeah, the way everything goes together in this beer, I think is quite nice. But yeah, as I say, definitely a very nice kind of session, kind of bready sour. This one, not a million miles away from like an old school Goza or Berliner Weisse, this beer. So yeah, I like it. It's a thumbs up from me. Mouthfeel wise, you know, it's kind of top end of light bodied, bottom end of mid bodied for me. Smooth carbonation, kind of wet mouthfeel, a little bit of a crispness in there, wee touch of hoppy character. I think it goes together really quite well. It goes together quite well in that sense. Yeah, the hoppy character, the malt base in this beer for me, a little bit grainy, a little bit smooth and bready, tiny touch sweet, and you've also got that little bit of yeah, you've just got that little bit of dryness in the aftertaste. But 20-ish, 25-ish IBUs this beer, I would think. Then you've got the sourness that comes in, a little bit of impact in there, a little bit sharper, but nice wee bit of juicy smoothness, and you've also got that wee fruity note out of it too. So yeah, I like how it goes together. Very interesting in that sense. So I guess a thumbs up from me. But yeah, this was the Krolinger, our penultimate beer tasting here at Broward PG4. So yeah, going to have a go at this schnitzel now, and we'll have a wee look and see what it's like. So catch you in a second with that. So yeah guys, as I said during the last tasting, my schnitzel arrived, and I have to say it's an absolute monster. I'm not sure exactly what this is, but I don't think that's going to be to my fancy. But schnitzel and chips, you can't go wrong. Let's have a wee look at this. Alright guys, well, let's dig into the schnitzel and just see what this is all about. We'll try the chips first though. I have to say these look pretty impressive. Just nice, lightly salted, well cooked. Let's have a go. Solid fries, cannot complain. Yeah, I think that goes together really nicely. Yeah. Fries are damn good, just very lightly salted. Nice soft potato inside. You really can't ask for much more than that. Fries are simple and straightforward. And yeah, I'm just going to see this one, see what the schnitzel's all about. And this is not just a schnitzel, this is a slab of meat. I mean, look at the thing, just a monster. So yeah, we'll take a cut off the side of it. We'll have a wee bit on the side with the crispiness first off, and then we'll have a bit that's got a little bit more meat to it, I guess we can say. So we've got a crispy bit first. There we go. Yeah. It's nicely cooked. It's very kind of straightforward, this one. The meat is just it's really nicely done. Maybe needs just a little slight touch of, you know, a wee bit of sauce or a wee bit of salt or something like that. But yeah, the quality of the meat in this one is very, very nice. I've noticed this actually. Quite a few of the restaurants have had schnitzels here, and obviously I wonder if this is just in the formerly German regions that this is quite common, or if this is all across Poland. Because this is quite a bit different from from other Polish food. But here there was quite a few kind of fish dishes and burgers and stuff on the menu. I kind of thought doing a burger was a bit boring. But yeah. The schnitzel's really nice, the meat's really nice, tender, smooth, just well cooked. It's just a well done schnitzel. It's a straightforward dish, but just done well. To be honest, you can't really ask for much more than that. I'm happy enough with this. I think that's all we really need to say about the schnitzel, to be quite honest with you. So yeah, definitely worth it. If you like a schnitzel, you will enjoy this one. What I would maybe recommend you do though, is, you know, offer it with like a dunkel beer sauce or something like that, or a Jaeger schnitzel, something along these lines. Because I had a little taste of the kind of cucumber salad thing on the side here, and it's just not for me. It's just not really for me. And when when you think about it, in goulash is a thing here as well. Like this would go, if you put a schnitzel in goulash, I can imagine it would be absolutely lovely. That would be right up my street. But yeah, lovely schnitzel this one. Schnitzel's good, chips are good, can't complain. So yeah, I think that leaves it for that. We've got one more beer we're going to have a look at in this video, and that'll be us. So I'll catch you in a second with that last beer. Alright guys, well, time for our fifth and final tasting then here at Broward PG4. So yeah, the last beer that we're going to have a look at is one of my favourite styles. It's a style that I don't get to review all that often, never mind on tap. So I thought when I saw this one in the menu, I was quite pleased, I have to say that. So the last beer that we're going to have a look at today is the Gdańsk Rubin, which comes in at 5.2% ABV, and they're describing this one as a dunkel. So of course it could be a Czech Czerny, and in Poland they call these chimney. So yeah, this, I have to say, it looks pretty damn nice. So when the beer poured, it had a bit of finger of a frothy, I would say very light kind of fawn coloured head. You can see the colour of this one is a nice kind of rich chestnut, one or two big bubbles sticking toward the side of the glass, a few little ones going up toward the bottom of that head there. Overall, it does look very, very nice actually, and pretty much as you would expect from the style. So this one for me is one of the more kind of, it's got a little bit of a more kind of red leaning character to it. But yeah, we'll need to see whether it's a bit more close to the German Dunkel or the Czech Czerny. As I've said in other videos, for me the German lagers are always a little bit kind of more clean and crisp, whereas the Czech ones are a little bit more kind of yeasty and bready and smooth, if you like. So yeah, nothing really surprised about this beer when it comes to the appearance when you consider what style it is. Nice little bit of natural haze to it. Let's have a wee look at the aroma of this one then and see what it's all about. Yeah. So for me, this beer straight away, it kind of gives you everything you want from the style. On first note, I would say that it comes across a little bit more like a Czech Czerny, but it does have a little bit more of the kind of sweetness from the German side. It's got the breadiness of the Czech Czerny, but more of the sweetness of the German Dunkel actually. So this will be an interesting one. Quite often, some of these lager beers I've had can be right in the middle of the two, or they can lean slightly toward one or the other. So that's definitely worth kind of keeping in mind with this style. So yeah, aroma-wise, this is pretty damn interesting, I have to say. So yeah, on the malty side of things then, backbone of the beer is like a slightly well-fired brown bready bread crust, absolutely. On top of that, you have, yeah, on top of that you have a little bit of a more, you've got a little bit of a kind of, there is a little touch of woody character to this one, but on top of that you've got a sweet kind of rye brown bread sort of thing. Yeah, so sweet straight up rye bread, a little bit of wholemeal bread above that. And then you've got all the kind of brown sugary notes to this, but there's a little bit of nuttiness in there. But then yeah, you've got some toasty caramel, you've got a little bit of a kind of more leathery sort of brown sugar in there as well. So maybe a slightly longer wort boil with this one, we'll need to see when we taste it. But then yeah, a little bit of sweet caramel in the middle of the nose as well. So that's quite nice. I think that covers the malty aspects of this beer. Anyway, when it comes to the nose. On the hoppy side of things, it's kind of as you'd expect. There's a little bit of earthiness in there, a little bit of smooth herbal quality, a little bit of floral note, a little bit of a lighter grassiness as well. These things, of course, reminiscent of the noble hops, the Czech Saps, the German Hallertausen Tettnangs, of course. It could be a Polish variety that's been used in here. So, I think that says everything we need to about the green side of this beer. It leans more toward the grassy side of things. But when it comes to the fruity side of the beer, there's a little bit of a red fruity character to this one. Maybe a little bit of a kind of prune or plum or something like that. Some datey notes in there as well, sultanas, and a little bit of blackcurrant for me. These are all things you can get from this style, and they just come in different intensities and so on. So it really depends on the individual beer, actually. So yeah, quite an interesting aroma, this one, I have to say. I really do like how this beer goes together. So yeah, let's have a little taste of this one then and see how we go. As I always say though, take a bit of time to enjoy the aroma of the beer before you get stuck into it. But yeah, this one is the Gdańsk Rubin, a 5.2% Dunkel Ciemne, as they would call it here in Poland. Our last beer here at Broward PG4. So yeah, let's look at this one. Sláinte, skål, cheers, na zdrowie. I have to say that is pretty damn good. Yeah. This is really nice. It's actually quite similar to what you would think from the aroma. It has definitely got the backbone of a Czech Cherny, but the kind of sweeter side of the beer is a little bit more, the sweeter side of the beer is a little bit more kind of, it's definitely got a little bit more of a kind of German sweetness to it. I think that's a fair assessment of this beer. But regardless, I like it. I like this style. This is a nice example, but one of the more bready examples of a brown lager that I've come across. So yeah, let's try and break this down and describe it for you a wee bit more in depth. So yeah, middle of your palate then, backbone of the beer, lovely, kind of toasty, slightly dry. Yeah, kind of toasty, slightly dry, wholemeal, brown bready sort of thing. Yeah, you've got that little bit of just well-fired bread crust in there. On top of that, you get the sweeter and more dense rye bread. And toward the front of that layer, you've got a little touch of woodiness coming out of it. So yeah, well-fired bread crust, more dense rye bread, a little touch of woodiness in there. And then the layer above, it's quite a layered beer, this one. You've got a bit more of that kind of wholemeal brown bread, where it's just a bit lighter and a bit more grainy rather than being dense and oily. There's a little bit of nuttiness within that as well. So yeah, well, I think all of these layers kind of just go together really nicely, but above the kind of wholemeal brown bready layer, you've got a little touch of a more kind of leathery, wholemeal brown sugary sort of thing going on. Yeah, some nice dry kind of leathery brown sugars. On top of that, you've got a little bit of a circle in the middle of your palate where there's a wee kind of toasty brown sugar kind of underlay as well, and then in the dead centre of your palate, you've got a little bit of that more kind of straight up sweet caramel, and potentially just on top of everything, there's a little bit of a McVitie's digestive biscuity type character to this one. So it's quite nice in that regard, I have to say that. So yeah, flavour wise, and the malty side of things, this beer is pretty much spot on. Like I say, it's the sweeter side of this one takes a bit of time for that to come out, but it shows you the more kind of crisp, sweet side of the German Dunkel. But then the backbone of the beer is absolutely along the lines of like a Czech Cherny. So back third of your palate is quite similar. So the back third of your palate is always a little bit drier and a little bit more kind of bitter than the front, than further forward on the palate. So you've got the same layers there. You've got the well-fired bread crust, you've got the sweet kind of rye bread in there, you've got a little bit of that wholemeal brown bready kind of character. And these two layers, the rye bread and the wholemeal brown bready character, those are definitely taller and more airy on that back third of the palate than they are in the middle. Above all of that, you do get a little bit of you kind of feel a little bit of the leathery brown sugar just kind of crossing into the back third of the palate. And above everything else there, you get a wee touch of the, yeah, you do get a little touch of the kind of, like a sort of farmhousey, woody type character above there. A little bit of a farmhousey bread with a wee bit of woodiness in there. So yeah, back third of the palate, the flavour is taller, then as you come further forward it just condenses down and squashes together. a little bit more. So yeah, the way this beer goes together in that sense, I think, is very, very nice. Yeah, I think that covers the malty and yeasty side of the beer. So on to the hoppy side of things then. Back corners of the palate, you've got a little bit of earthiness there. As you move further forward, it's a little touch herbal, and as you push further and further forward, it's got a wee bit of a more kind of floral, aromatic type note to it. Round the front curve of the tongue, it's a little bit lighter and more grassy. The green component for me is actually quite dry in this one, which is kind of interesting. In fairness, at the start it's a little bit wet, but then it really starts to dry out a little bit more. So yeah, border region between front third and middle third of your palate, you get a little bit of brown bready build up there again. Base of that front third of your palate, you've got the well-fired bread crust, wee bit of woodiness, some smooth brown bread on top. Then you get that nice oily bubble where the juicy fruity esters roll their way out of the beer. So let's look at that to round off the tasting section. Flavour section, I should say. So yeah, fruity side of this beer, there is a little touch of plum or prune in there, but not a lot. On the back half of that front third of your palate, it's got a big oily datey character. It's got the sultanas in there, an oily pear as you come further forward. And then into the front half of that front third of your palate, the beer is a lot more along the lines of yeah, it is more along the lines of it's a lot more along the lines of like a kind of blackcurranty blackberry that's in it, more blackcurrant than anything else. But yeah, it's kind of dry fruity, this Dunkel, I have to say, which is quite nice, a bit of a change of pace. But yeah, overall, like I said, a little bit of German sweetness to this one, but it leans more toward the Czech Cherny, this one for me, rather than the German Dunkel actually. But it could just be the kind of raw Brauhaus type character that it has. But yeah, anyway, in terms of the mouthfeel then, this beer for me, it's kind of mid-body. It's right in the middle of the spectrum, this one, but for a lager, it is actually quite thick. Say one of the thicker lagers I've come across. I like to say right in the middle of the overall spectrum. Smooth carbonation, kind of really quite thick mouthfeel. It's got a little bit of an almost kind of creamy character in the base, but then it's a little bit cleaner on top. In terms of IBUs, I think this beer is probably about 20-ish. I think this beer is probably about 20-ish IBUs, which is kind of fairly standard for the style. The malts, as we said, has got graininess underneath, smoothness in the middle, a bit of sweetness on top, and then you've got these lovely kind of oily, fruity characters coming out of it as well. But yeah, like a very, very nice Dunkel beer, this one. I have to compliment them on that. But yeah, this one was the Gdańsk Rubin, a 5.2% Dunkel Cherny, Ciemne as they call it here in Poland. Our last beer here at PG4. So yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed these videos. I'll go outside, give you my final thoughts on my time here at PG4, and yeah, catch you then. Wait a second. Alright guys, well that's my time over then here at Broward PG4 in Gdańsk. So I had a really nice couple of hours here. I tried all 5 of the beers that they had on tap. I got a really nice tour from Johannes as well of some bits of the brewery. We tried the open beer, which was really cool. I had a great time here. Lucas, the big guy who was serving me, he was awesome. Really nice beers here. Quite hard to pick a favourite. They were all pretty damn solid actually, more kind of traditional things, but definitely cool to try some old school Gdańsk beers there. Probably the table beer is the most kind of quirky one that I had, but the sour beer was also very nice. But I did enjoy the lager, I have to say, and the Dunkel was great too, but you know, obviously the open beer probably would be the pick of the bunch. But yeah, a great time here, like I say. Massive ups to Johannes the brewer and Lucas who was serving me. Yeah, in total it cost me 145 zlotys, so that is about, what's that, about 29 euros, something like that. So yeah, about 27, 28 pounds, which for what I had was nothing. The food was good, the soup was great. and the beers were really good quality as well. Cannot complain in the slightest. So yeah, €29, £27 sterling, you know, somewhere in the region like $32, $33 American. Of course, I left a little tip for them as well, but yeah, it's the kind of cost of the other stuff that is of main interest to you guys. But once again, thank you for watching my out and about videos. Check out my social media, check out Broward PG4 social media. Really nice venue, very nice people, and of course they will have a few different beers when you guys come and visit here. There's a couple of them are rotated, but yeah, enjoyed my time here. Let's leave it at that. I'm off to the airport now, going to be heading back to Sweden. This will be the last out and about video in Poland for the meantime, but I hope you've enjoyed this little Polish mini series. Slange, skål, cheers, na zdrowie.